Hello and welcome to our first Sunday football pregame show. I'm your host, Courtney Fallon. I'm here with Kenny from Kenny Bets Big. Check him out on Instagram and on your website and Twitter and all that fun stuff. Kenny, how you going? How you doing this morning?
I'm doing good. What's going on, Courtney? How's everyone doing?
I'm doing fantastic. Great games, great matchups. Week 11 is always about separating the boys from the men, really finding out if the team that you've been betting on for weeks is the one team that you can trust down the line. This is where they separate themselves from, hey, our season's almost over, to we're making a run at the division and wild card spots. And it gets really interesting with these betting lines. And I know that, Kenny, you have a lot of expertise to hand out to us today. We're going to go down all of the 1 and 4 o'clock games that are on this slate. Of course, some of the primetime matchups are excellent that we'll get your thoughts on very later in the show. But just wanted to ask your question, like quick betting tips or pitfalls and things to be aware of when you're betting these betting lineups late on a Sunday as opposed to, taking a betting line on like Thursday or Friday.
Yeah, definitely. So some of the things to look for are obviously like, late line movements. For example, this Eagles-Browns game, right? The line was at 3.5 earlier this morning. It's now sitting at 2.5, right? Mm-hmm. So like things like that, late line movements like that, you don't want to be on the wrong end of that 2.5, where let's say the Browns come out, win this game by a field goal. If you were on that line earlier, you would get the Eagles at plus 3.5 here. If you waited, to 20, 30 minutes before game time, you're going to get the Eagles at plus 2.5. So, you're taking a little bit more of a risk there. You don't have as much of a insurance, I guess you can call it.
Much like Instagram algorithms, it's always like, what time is the best time to post a picture?
Yes.
What time is the best time? What's the window? What's the best window to post, to place your bets?
Honestly, it depends on which side you want to be on, right? So like, for example, we do the early lines with the game day where, I give out early lines that I think are going to move in a certain direction. So if you wanted to bet the Browns here, for example, if you think the Browns are going to come out, win this game, it would benefit you to, wait a little bit till as the game gets closer, till more money keeps pouring in on the Eagles and the line's going to continue to drop, right? So like right now, looking at this Eagles game, there is 57% of the money is on the Eagles. So a lot of big money is coming in on the Eagles. With that, you can expect that the line is going to keep dropping. So like if you want the Browns, you would wait till as close as possible to get the lowest line possible, right? If you wanted the Eagles, it would have made sense to lock the line in early to get the best line possible for the Eagles.
I have a question, and I know that I have some friends that really are into 5-6 team parlays. Like they love playing those big risky parlays, and that you can strike low, hit high. Do you like those those sets to put down, or are you more of like a 2-3 game parlay?
Yeah, the sports books love your friends too, I bet.
I know. Yes, they lost a lot. They lost a lot of money then.
Yeah. So me personally, I very rarely do parlays. If I do, I will limit them to a 2-teamer. It's hard enough winning one game, right? So when you start adding 5-6 games in there to hit one bet, now your odds of hitting that bet go up exponentially. So the sports books know, they know what to do to entice people to lose their money. So they put those things in there for a reason. They're not paying out $11,000, $12,000 for $100 bet often. Yeah. So yeah, I don't advise those bets too often. Me personally, I do this for a living, so I try to limit as much risk and I guess you can say take out as much of the gamble as possible from the gamble, right? So for me, and my clients, I strictly try to limit them to straight bets to ensure the best success for over the long term.
Okay, so everyone be noted. We're going to go down this slate of games for week 11. Kenny is not physically putting any of his money on these games, and neither am I. That's the nice disclosure that we're gonna do before we hit this slate. All right, let's start it off. Titans and Ravens. This is a hot matchup. 1 o'clock game. Earlier in the week, when I was doing my research for my own podcast, the line was at -5 for Baltimore. The line now moved to -6. The over-under is 49.5. Derrick Henry, last time they played in the playoffs, I think we can all remember this. Derrick Henry ran for 195 yards against Baltimore, and Baltimore's defense just got run over by the Patriots. They did stop the run late last quarter, but they're going to be without one of their top nose tackles and Brandon Williams in the middle. And without him in the front, in that front four, they've other opposing teams have averaged 165 yards on the ground. The Titans are dealing with some issues too, but what do you say? What's your analysis on this game?
So this was one of the games that I did in the early lines earlier this week. So this game that opened up with the Ravens at 6.5, I locked the Titans in +7 myself, actually. The line dropped down to 5.5 over the course of the week, and now it's sitting at 6, as you said. I think the Titans are getting back Adoree Jackson for this game. So their secondary, it's going to be healthy. This is one of the first games that they're actually going to be back fully healthy, their defense, right? So as you can see, Lamar Jackson has been struggling over the last few weeks throwing the ball. It's definitely not his strong point, as everyone knows.
Yeah.
So I think this is going to be a little bit of a lower scoring game. I think both defenses are going to come out, the Ravens, as you said, were embarrassed last week versus the Patriots. So I think their defense is going to come out, look to, play a much better game this week. I think the Titans are going to come out. They got embarrassed last week. So I think the Titans are going to come back and they're going to want to play a big game as well. So I locked the Titans in here +7. I love that bet. Lamar Jackson for his career as a home favorite is 5-11 against the spread. So I love the Titans here.
I love the Titans too. And also, you got to remember that the Titans played on Thursday night last week. And this is just stereotypical. If you come from the Bill Belichick coaching tree, as Mike Vrabel used to play under Belichick, John Robinson was the GM. You give a Belichick style franchise 10 days to prepare for an opponent like the Ravens. I got to lock in the Titans on this one. I got to agree with you. All right, let's move on to the Falcons at the Saints. The Falcons are 3-6. The Saints. This is a fascinating matchup because we even found out last night, Drew Brees, of course, he's been inactive. He's been placed on the 3-week injured reserve for a punctured lung and 5 fractured ribs. They actually found out last night he had 6 more fractures. So this guy's dealing with 11 fractured ribs. Whoever takes the starting reins of this offense with Brees' weapons is going to ideally be the starting quarterback for possibly the rest of the run of the season. And much to the surprise of everyone else, but not inside the Saints organization, Taysom Hill gets the starting nod. More traditional style quarterback, step back in the pocket. Jameis Winston clearly not ready for the starting quarterback position for the Saints. But yeah, ever since that Taysom Hill was named the starter, that line moved smaller. So it was at -5 earlier in the week. That line moved to -3. What do you got?
So right now, 56% of the bets are on the Atlanta Falcons spread and roughly 54% of the money. So there's not a huge edge on either side as far as looking at the breakdown of the money, right? I will say there is sharp money coming in on the Atlanta Falcons. And, I guess this is like just a typical Sean Payton move, right? Like everyone is expecting him to throw Jameis Winston out there. But when you announce Taysom Hill, you just kind of feel like he has to know something, right? Like why would – Everyone is expecting one thing, and when he goes complete opposite, you kind of feel like the guy has to know something. So this is a game where personally I'm not going to touch. But I do think that, I don't know, I kind of like the Saints here. I don't know why. I just think they come out, and I think Taysom Hill is going to ball out today.
I kind of like the Falcons in this one. They're 7-1 against the spread in their last 8 road games. They've got good playmakers behind them. Raheem Morris is arguably putting himself forward as a hot head coaching candidate, and he says that the Falcons are back and they're better than ever. Remember, you still have Matt Ryan at quarterback. You still have Julio Jones on that offense. And I just think that there's somehow, some way that the Falcons are going to be more prepared than the Saints in this one. And playing on the road, I think that's a lofty challenge, but I'm going to take the Falcons in this one.
Yeah, I mean, and looking back, the Falcons should really be like 6-3 here, right?
Yeah.
So they aren't really a 3-6 team, so they should be. The record is not what they are. I will say that.
Yeah. All right. Well, we alluded to this earlier in the show. Finally, we're getting to it. This is, I don't know, an interesting matchup for a lot of people. A lot of eyes on the NFC East leaders, The Philadelphia Eagles, 3-5-1. Isn't that remarkable? It's absolutely amazing. The Giants, of course, are on a bye this week, but the Eagles struggling over the last few weeks. That offense looks tired. Carson Wentz leads the league in interceptions with 12. Doug Peterson, there seems to be a lot of internal conflict inside the walls of that facility. A lot of fighting, and just on air too. I mean, Doug Peterson taking to the radio airwaves and starting to criticize people. So you're seeing a collapse before your eyes. But again, they still have an ample opportunity to go in here and challenge a Baker Mayfield-led Cleveland Browns team that is 6-3, but Mother Nature has wreaked havoc over the city of Cleveland for the last couple of weeks, and they're playing on the road, and it's not much easier today. It's going to be terrible weather. The Browns have both of their running backs back. Nick Chubb came back last week. He looks like he hasn't missed a beat. Kareem Hunt, they got that dual rushing attack. I don't know. Can Carson Wentz buck the trend? Can he get things back on track, or is it the Browns today?
I will say this: if Carson Wentz doesn't get things back on track, they need to put Jalen Hurts in there, right?
You must have watched my clip from last weekend, huh?
I did.
You must have watched my easy money clip. You know, that's talking about that. The lines on Jalen Hurts starting the season. You could win some easy money on that for Carson Wentz being benched and Jalen Hurts starting.
Yeah, right. I mean, it's not at some point in the season, if the Eagles lose another game or two, they will be out of at some point they're going to be out of the race. 3-5, you think they would be out of the division race already, but they're not. This is a tricky game. It's a big public team on the Browns. I think they've been undervalued in a lot of their games this season. The line opened up to 3.5. Right now it's 2.5. You have 56% of the bets are on Cleveland and only 43% of the money. When I see things like that, I would never bet Cleveland, just because that's simply saying, a lot of casual bettors are going up to the bet window and throwing $5, $10 tickets on the Browns. But the people who do bet, bigger unit sizes are taking the Eagles here. So this is not a game I would personally bet. If I would take it, I would touch the Eagles here. Baker Mayfield, it ranks second to dead last in the NFL with his passer rating when pressured. The Eagles are in top 5 ranked top 5 in the NFL in pressure on the quarterback. So I do think that the Eagles front line will be able to get some pressure on Baker Mayfield today. And, I don't think, without Odell Beckham Jr., he doesn't have him, so he's missing his top weapon. I think we will see Baker struggle pretty. I think he's going to struggle today, and I would take the Eagles.
Okay, I'm going to take the Browns on this one.
Good luck.
I mean, listen, a ground and pound game. I would rather take the sure bet with the Browns running game than anything that Carson Wentz is doing on offense. All right, moving on to the Packers.
I think the Eagles rank just one thing to say, and I think the Eagles ranked second in the league and ranked against the run. So they've gotten burned in a few games against running quarterbacks. So if you look back to their games against Lamar Jackson last week versus Daniel Jones, those quarterbacks did take advantage of their defense. But if you eliminate, the rushing stats from quarterbacks, they rank like top 5 in defense and shutting down running backs. So I would be careful, fantasy starting at Kareem Hunt, Nick Chubb. I would be careful with those guys this week.
Well, also, too, one of my favorite prop bets of the weekend is the over-under on Baker Mayfield's rushing yards. He's gone under 9.5 rushing yards for the last 6 games. So, I know that you're saying that, struggling, they struggle with mobile quarterbacks. So is Baker Mayfield definitely not a mobile quarterback, because I'm taking the under on that one. Because the under has hit over the last couple of weeks. All right, let's move on to this. The Packers at the Colts. This is a really good matchup of two great teams. 7-2, the Packers rolling in there. Phillip Rivers has really found a hot streak as of late. This line has moved to Colts -1 is what I have. The over-under is 51.5. We're starting to learn whether you're going to trust Green Bay on this one. Aaron Rodgers has seemed to be such a surefire bet. His chemistry with Matt LaFleur, his head coach, it's just easy breezy. I feel like he's breezing through the season, just cakewalking all the way to the postseason. But Aaron Rodgers has really struggled in Indianapolis, and that Colts defense is something to reckon with. I mean, it's a top 2, top 3 in the league. Phillip Rivers has been really efficient against the Packers defense this year. And Rodgers is averaging is 4-0 and averaging almost 300 passing yards in this one with 9 touchdowns. But my other favorite prop bet is that Aaron Rodgers is going to throw under 288 passing yards because this Colts defense is a lot to handle. So what are your thoughts on this game being so close to the line?
So this is one of the things where personally I've went against Aaron Rodgers a couple times this year and it did not work out, right? So it's one of those things where I personally just hate betting against Aaron Rodgers. You talked about the Colts have one of the top defenses in the league. I was on the Colts last week when they played the Titans. If you actually look at the Colts, they've really beat nobody, right? They beat, I think, like the Jets, the Jaguars a couple times. They've really beat like no one. So this is a tough game, right? Aaron Rodgers in his career is 5-1 with Matt LaFleur as his coach, as an underdog. So personally, if I was going to bet this game, I would go Green Bay. 60% of the bets are on them, and 66% of the money is on the Packers right now. Mm-hmm. So it's not a huge disparity. So the fact that the line is dropping, it was at 2.5. Now it's sitting at Green Bay +1. Yep. I would take the Packers here. I would lock that in. And the over/under, I would go under. This is going to be a high defensive atmosphere game. It's going to be a playoff-like atmosphere, right? You have a 7-2 team and a 6-3 team. It's going to be a lot is on the line for this game here. I would go under.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think we're in tandem with that one. I'm taking the Packers on this one. Aaron Rodgers also happens to be one of my fantasy quarterbacks. And he's been pretty consistent. Kyler Murray being the other one. Little humble brag there. All right, Cowboys.
I'm coming to you for fantasy advice.
I know. I actually am, I have a great team, but I don't know. Situational fantasy crier over here. Cowboys at the Vikings. Minnesota is a 7.5 point favorite. That line has moved to 49.5. It was at 48 when I had tallied it earlier on Friday. What can you say about the Vikings? That hasn't already been said. Dalvin Cook has been averaging 424. Yes, that's right. 424 yards at home rushing. Mike Zimmer, this is probably one of the most impressive performances that he has put on as a head coach here. The last few weeks, they've scored over 20 points. Wow, Dallas, I mean, they're hopeless in this point. Would you take Minnesota with the points here, or do you think the Cowboys could possibly keep it close?
So this is the sharp side of this bet would definitely be Dallas plus the points, right? They opened up at +9.5. Minnesota is getting roughly around 60% of the money on them. So again, that's something where when they're getting more money, the line should creep higher and higher. So like when they open at 9.5, it should go to -10.5, -11 when all the money is coming on the Vikings. The fact that it dropped, what that means is that the sports books are actually taking a stand on this game. The sharp side of the bet would definitely be the Cowboys. Personally, I want nothing to do with putting my money anywhere near the Dallas Cowboys, so I would stay far away from this game.
Okay. All right. I agree with you. This is a funny one because I had a couple of people that are telling me they're taking Jets money line. Are the Jets going to be that one team, one for the history books to be 0-16? Who knows? They have a decent shot here with the Jets at the Chargers. They're at that brand new stadium, SoFi Field. You have to take into consideration always a cross-country flight from New York to LA. They're playing in that later time slot. The line has moved from 9.5 now down to 10. What is the biggest risk of putting your money on the Jets in any parlay today?
So it's funny you asked that because I actually have had a few people DM me some teaser bets that they've wanted to put in and, asking me, should we take the Jets +16 here? And normally I would say like any NFL team +16 is like, I love it anytime. Like if you can get over 14 points in an NFL game, like I would take that all day, every day of the week, twice on Sunday, right? Mm-hmm. But it is the Jets, and this game could easily steamroll out of control. And I could see the Chargers winning this game by 20 plus points. So that's one thing to be careful of. But anyone who's been following me here knows that I've been taking the Chargers the last 3 weeks, and I've gotten burned every single time. So I kind of like the Jets here. If I was going to take it, I would bet the Jets. Obviously, I don't feel great going with the Jets, but I would take the Jets.
Jets money line or Jets with the points?
No, yeah, you got to go points. I mean, you're going for a prayer if you take the Jets money line.
Okay, all right, Jets with the points on this one. Dolphins at the Broncos. I love this matchup because I'm falling in love with this young kid, Tua Tagovailoa. If he wins today and they go to 4-0, he'll be the 5th AFC quarterback to win his first 4 career starts since Drew Brees did it as a rookie, since Big Ben did it, Trevor Siemian, and oh yeah, that guy Patrick Mahomes, who just got $500 million contract, Super Bowl champion, and he's taken his team all the way to the top again this year. That line earlier this week was at -3. It's now at -4. The over-under is 45.5, 46. Sorry, 46. What are your thoughts on this game? And they're playing out Mile High, so mind you.
Yeah, I would have to go with the Dolphins as well here. The Tua looks good. He hasn't played great so far, but he hasn't played bad. He hasn't put them in a position to lose the games, right? And the defense is playing lights out. Brian Flores is doing an amazing job. He's leading him and Mike Tomlin leading candidates for Coach of the Year. One thing that worries me is that they are scoring a ton of points off their defensive turnovers and special teams points, which eventually that can only last so long. So at some point, Tua is going to have to really start taking over these games and putting points up. But Denver is, their defense is like a shell of itself this year. They don't look good. I would go with Tua here and the Dolphins as well.
Okay. And
also, right now, 72% of the money is on the Dolphins too. Sharp money is coming in on the Dolphins. Big money is on the Dolphins. So,
Oh. All right. There's big things coming out of South Florida. The Miami Dolphins also lead the league in points differential, which is something to know. So when they win big. Bengals at Washington. This is another questionable one. It's kind of like the Eagles and Browns and Jets, Chargers. Bengals are 2-6-1. Joe Burrow has struggled as of late. I mean, we've seen flashes of greatness from him, but his offensive line can't keep his jersey clean. Washington was a -1, a 1-point favorite, but now that line has moved to 2. So Washington is a 2-point favorite. Alex Smith had a real breakout game. A lot of garbage time points in that game against the Lions where they had that down 3 touchdowns. So he showed he still had the capability to come back. But what do you think about this game? For me personally, I think that Joe Burrow is going to bounce back. He's going to have a massive game. And, 3 touchdowns. I think T. Higgins is going to have, a massive game as well. So I think that connection is going to work in their favor. This game is at Washington.
It's another one. I love the Redskins here. So Washington
football team.
What was that?
Washington football team.
Sorry. Washington football team. Got to be careful with that. So right now, 64% of the money is on the Bengals. So again, this is one of those games where the line, said was Washington -1. Now it's sitting at Washington -2. That line should be creeping down more towards like a pick'em Bengals -1 with all the money coming in on them. The fact that it's moving the other way says that, the sports books again are taking a stand here. They like where they got this line at. They think they like the Washington Redskins here. I've been doing this for a long time, and that's one thing you don't want to go against. When you start seeing things like that, the sports books, they always win. They always win. So if you can, see trends where, they're taking stands on games or, just anything like that, little trends that stand out, like those are games that you want to jump all over. So I like the Redskins here, for a few reasons. The Bengals, I think Joe Burrow leads the league in sacks. He's getting demolished. The Bengals O-line can't protect him to save Joe Burrow's life. So the Redskins, front seven is going to be coming at him all day. The Redskins do have a pretty good secondary. If you look on the stats, their secondary, they're like top 5 in the league in passing yards allowed per game. So I would lean Redskins here.
I think that you have to put $7 or $8 in the swear jar because you called the Washington football team the Redskins 8.
Oh my goodness, yeah.
Oh yeah, you got to go bing, 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 bing. It goes in the curse jar. You're not allowed to say that anymore. WFT. That's just say Washington. All right, Steelers at the Jaguars. Steelers at the Jaguars. Oh, man. Well, Big Ben proved that he's A-okay. He's not dealing with any injuries. Gardner Minshew is questionable in this one. I get all of these alerts a lot before the game. Jake Luton is not even starting in this game. I believe it is someone else. I can't pull it up right this second. But Yeah, things just seem to get from bad to worse with the Jacksonville Jaguars. The Steelers are 10.5 point favorites. The over-under is 46. What are your thoughts?
So I like the Jaguars here plus the points. It's a tough game for the Steelers. It's sandwiched right in between two division games. They're coming off a huge win last week with the Bengals. It's a look-ahead spot. They take on the Ravens next week. So, I think this is a game. Big Ben notoriously struggles on the road for his career. He's notoriously struggles. He doesn't cover double-digit spreads when he's on the road. I think he's like 2 and like 11 for double-digit spreads over his career. So I love the Jaguars plus the points. I think you're going to get a Steelers team that comes out with a very vanilla offense. Looking ahead next week for the Baltimore Ravens, that's a much more important game for them. I do think the Steelers will win the game, but I don't think they cover the spread.
Okay. All right. This is my favorite of them all. I think we're coming to the last of the early previews before we just get your thoughts on some of the primetime games. The Patriots at the Texans. The New England Patriots minus 2.5 point. It's not a Pats fan. I covered this team for like
I'm a Pats
5
fan.
or 6 years. What?
I'm a Pats fan, I'm saying.
Oh, you're a Pats fan.
Yeah, I'm a huge Patriots fan.
We just have like game day NFL. We just have a bunch of Patriots fans up in this house.
That's it.
Local
winners. We're filled with winners. That's why.
I know, exactly. This is always. All right. So the Patriots are 2.5 point favorites in this. The over-under is 49. They're getting a couple guys. They're getting Stephon Gilmore back for the first time in, I don't know, 2, 3, 4 weeks. That is a huge part of their defense. They have been missing him nonstop. However, great news for the Patriots before this game. Laramie Tunsil, their starting offensive tackle, Mr. First round pick that Bill O'Brien got from the Miami Dolphins. He is inactive in this game, and they have had serious struggles on the right side of that offensive line for the Texans. Although Deshaun Watson, he is electric. He's a huge threat. He can have explosive plays. He can run. He can jet downfield. And you got to remember, they still have Brandon Cooks and Will Fuller on that offense. However, it's going to be still a defensive battle. And what are your thoughts on this game? Would you take the Patriots in this one with the points?
I would go money line personally.
Okay.
I just think a money line bet is always safer, and it's like hovering right around like minus 130 right now. It's not like a crazy price you're going to pay. Because I did see, I'm looking right now, ESPN, the Patriots are actually sitting at -3, so that line is still creeping higher.
Okay.
80% of the money is on the Pats, only 50% of the bets, right? So again, huge discrepancy there, meaning that people that are betting on the Patriots are betting large amounts of money. I would personally go with the Patriots here. Like you said, they're getting Gilmore back. I think the defense is going to be upticked here, coming off a big win against the Ravens. I think Bill Belichick, they're not out of the division, right? You have the Dolphins sitting at 6-3.
Slim shot. They got to win 6 of 7, more or less. But this is a winnable game. Yeah, it's a winnable game for them. And I agree. The defense played super fast last week. We really started to see a lot of those younger kids, Josh Uche, Chase Winovich, come off the line. So I think there could be a big push from that Patriots defense.
Yeah, I agree. I think Belichick's going to have them ready to play. The defense looks terrible this year. So anytime, their defense is coming out getting burned every game, usually Bill Belichick gets those guys fired up, to come out and play a good defensive game. So, with Gilmore back, their number one corner, my opinion, best corner in the league. I think it's a huge addition to that defense, and you're going to see a big difference in how well they've played this game versus how well they played the last few weeks.
Okay. All right. Finishing this up, I just want to get your quick thoughts, and then, we'll wrap this up because we got some games to watch in the next 45 minutes. The Chiefs at the Raiders. Man, the over-under is 56.5. The Chiefs are favored by 6.5 points. The last time, the Raiders won at Arrowhead. And they circled the buses around. They kind of taunted them. I think that there's a lot at stake here. The Chiefs are not happy. This is a primetime game. It's a high-scoring game. Would you take the over in this game? I know it's pretty high, 56.5.
Yeah, I do like the over. I think Oakland's defense has been like decimated by COVID this week.
Yeah, no, but you know what? There was no so the update on that is that there were no positive tests today. So everyone that was on the Raiders defense is available. But again, they didn't.
That's not saying much.
Yeah.
Right? The Raiders secondary is like one of the worst in the leagues. Like you were saying, you have Andy Reid coming off a bye, who notorious, he's amazing coming off bye weeks. Yeah. So you give Patrick Mahomes extra time to prepare for this leaky Raiders secondary. Then add in the fact the revenge, they lost the first time. It's hard enough beating a team twice in your division in the same season, let alone beating the Chiefs twice in the same season. And then you have to add in the fact that the Raiders were, like you said, riding their bus around after that win in Arrowhead earlier in the season. I just think that this is not a game I want to be on the Raiders. I took the Raiders the first matchup. I took a money line and with the spread, but I want nothing to do with the Raiders tonight. This is a game where Patrick Mahomes could easily come out, throw 5-6 touchdowns, and absolutely torch this team. So I do like the over here because I think the Raiders, Derek Carr is playing amazing. Josh Jacobs, I know I commented on the post. He's one of my favorite DFS players this week. I think he's going to score a touchdown. So I think the over is definitely a strong play. Look, the Chiefs to put up 30, 40 points alone and the Raiders to score maybe 14, 21 points.
Okay. All right. And the final matchup of the week, Rams at the Bucs. This is really a game and a test of who is the powerhouse in the NFC. Tampa, when they are right, they can do really bad things to anyone. However, they are terrible in primetime. It's like they just forget to play. They forget their playbook. They're like 1-2 in primetime games. One of them being an absolute pantsing embarrassment of Tom Brady getting beat by Drew Brees. That was a divisional game. Tom remembers, so is this finally the game that you're going to build trust in the Tampa Bay Buccaneers? They're a 3.5-point favorite, or is Aaron Donald and that vaunted Rams defense, are they going to get the most of the Tampa Bay Bucs?
Yeah, I was on the Rams last week versus the Seahawks. Their defense they're number one in the league. They're giving up under 20 points a game. Defense travels, right? Defense usually wins in the NFL. So I'm going to take the number one defense in the league plus the points here. I think the Bucs, they may sneak out the win. I would never want to really bet against Tom Brady. He's my favorite player ever as a Patriots fan. I've seen what he does. Like you said, he does remember. So yeah, he's not played great on primetime games. I do think Tom Brady is going to come out and play a much better, cleaner game on primetime. I think again, like this is another game has a lot of playoff implications on the line. Like both teams really need this game. So I kind of lean the under here.
Okay. All right. Well,
you could even tease the Rams up. So like a 2-team teaser, like get the Rams plus 11 and tease the under up as well. Like that's a great bet.
I like that. I like that a lot. Well, if you want to contact Kenny and all of his expertise, his betting expertise, Kenny Bets Big. Is there a website that you got too? KennyBetsBig.com. Let me guess.
Yep. That's my website. Instagram, KennyBetsBig. You can go over there, DM me if you guys ever have any questions, anything, feel free. I love talking sports.
Okay. All right. And you can find me at Courtney Fallon _. Don't forget the underscore. That's on Twitter, Courtney _Fallon. On Instagram, we are continuing to do content. We are content machines here at the Game Day. And go check out our website, thegameday.com. If you're thinking about, I don't know, it's 12:15 right now. If you're thinking about a couple of bets, you are in a state that does accept betting. Remind you, it's illegal in a lot of states, but you want to place a bet, go to thegameday.com and check out and see what, our affiliates are offering. Maybe they might be offering you a deal. We have affiliate partnerships with just about everyone. All right. I'm Courtney Fallon. That's Kenny. We'll see you next time.
Good luck, guys.
Good luck.